Good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing today? So, hey, just a real quick heads up. Just completed 3 interviews with Anna Kelly, and I think you're going to want to check those out. We actually, the one that is just loading now, talks about overpaying for multifamily and why that was a great idea for her. So make sure you check that one out. In addition, just completed an interview with a student who was asking me a ton of questions. I know you're going to enjoy that interview as well. But alas, I wanted to talk about when do I think maximum pain will be felt by some of these cities you have heard me talk about? Las Vegas, New York City, and San Francisco. I think what you have seen by now for me is, nationally speaking, single family homes are going to do awesome in 2021. I'm on record as saying there's a better chance of single family homes going up double digits than going down double digits. That said, there will be some cities that have pain, but I don't think, at least for the most part, it is in 2021. So I've gone and done some specific research about Las Vegas, New York City, and San Francisco. Specifically speaking, I went back and tried to uncover the foreclosure timeframes for each location. And I think what you are about to see or hear is something that will be eye-opening. A lot of these YouTube entertainers do not appreciate the time frame to close or to process a foreclosure. The rules in California are different than New York, for example, and the time frames are vastly different. So while there may be very acute pain in both locations, the time frames are different. Then when you look at New York, Las Vegas, and San Francisco, 2 of those locations are seeing migration out. One is seeing migration in. Then when you step back and you look at the cities, one is clearly showing a ton of pain with rents and vacancies. Another one is showing some pain, and the other is actually the reverse. So I think when you tie all of these together, the time for maximum pain is very different. And that's what I wish these talking heads on YouTube with hundreds of thousands of subscribers would realize, is they're doing you a disservice by saying pain, 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 and not putting a time frame. So why don't we look at New York City first? Do you know what the average timeline was for a foreclosure in New York State during the financial crisis? I think you would be amazed by this. The average was 1,103 days. That's 1,103 days. From the first missed payment, that is almost 3 years. I don't care of every forbearance request, every eviction moratorium in New York doesn't pay and forecloses. There is no chance that you have a ton of listings hit the market. If the average foreclosure time frame in New York City is 1,103 days, none of that lands in 2021. The other facts that we must appreciate about New York City are real. Vacancies are up 300%. Rent is down about 18% plus 2 months of free rent as a kicker. Listings and price cuts are up across the board. New York City is in for some pain. My prediction for New York City is maximum pain will not be felt until the summer of 2022. Think about that, 2022. Yes, there will be some listings coming up. Yes, small landlords are in tons of pain. But just with the process, the backlog, the time frame to process foreclosures, it means there's a long time before they actually lose a property. So there will be some short sales, I am sure. But I do not see how New York City could have maximum pain, meaning lots and lots of inventory coming up and prices coming down in any meaningful way until 2022, probably the summertime. Let's talk about Las Vegas. So again, like New York, Las Vegas had an average of 1,511 days during the last crisis. Now, some of this is because the last crisis was very acute in Nevada. It was one of the hot spots of the foreclosure crisis. So some of that's just sheer numbers of units being processed. But even if you take the average of 1,511 days and cut it in half, you're still over 700 days, which puts you on the doorstep of 2 years from the first missed payment to the foreclosure closing and the bank taking it back. 2 years. So yes, Vegas is in pain. Yes, people are in forbearance. Yes, some of them will lose their homes, but none of them, or I should say very few of them, will lose their homes in 2021. You can't cram 700 days into a 365-day year. The math doesn't work. Next, when you talk about Las Vegas, they are actually seeing listings fall, unlike New York. They are actually seeing rent growth, as go figure, which I think is amazing. And they're actually seeing values increase, which is important because if values are up, you can actually sell via short sale or actually sell and take equity out. So the chance for maximum pain, the people that are upside down, have nowhere to go, and finally get kicked to the curb, that doesn't happen until probably 2023. So I think New York is probably mid-2022. Vegas, probably not till 2023, given the old number was 1,511, 1,511 days. I think you can cut that in half today, make it 700. That's still 2 years. Values are up, so people will have equity. So I just don't see maximum pain for years to come in Las Vegas. Now, let's talk about San Francisco. San Francisco is a different story. It kind of is the same as New York from pain, but the opposite of Vegas from inventory. So first off, the average days in California foreclosure was just over 400 days in the last crisis, so just over 1 year. That's from the first missed payment to foreclosure. What we are seeing in San Francisco isn't like New York, exodus out, but you are seeing even more pain as businesses are very, very clearly telling their tech workers, get out of Dodge, work from home, go away. We have seen rent declines of greater than 30% in San Francisco. New York is bad at 18. San Francisco is horrible at 30. You tie that in with listings in San Francisco up over 100%. You were seeing price cuts already over 200% of normal. I think San Francisco is in the wave momentum of pain building. I think with a shorter foreclosure process in California compared to average in New York and the average in Nevada means pain in San Francisco comes first. I believe San Francisco pain peaks probably late 2021. So in summary, given foreclosure timeframes, appreciation, vacancies, either people moving in, people moving out, I think San Francisco feels the pain first. I think New York feels the pain second. And that means Las Vegas in this collection of three is last. San Francisco, late 2021. Las Vegas, mid-2022. And New York, 2023. Let me know what you think. I bet those foreclosure numbers surprised you again. What was it? 1,103 days in New York, 1,511 in Vegas, and over 400 in California. All right, everybody. Take care of yourself. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.